I made this entire SaaS product animation using only Claude Code and Remotion. Now, designers charge thousands of dollars for these types of SaaS animations, and it normally takes a couple of days to make them. But in this video, I'll show you how to do them in just a few minutes. If you're struggling to create SaaS motion graphics, then this is the video for you because I'm giving away the secret sauce, no gatekeeping. And by the end of this video, you'll be able to create these premium glass morphism effects for yourself. We'll be going beyond simple blurs to create a glass UI effect that physically bends light. So make sure you watch till the end. Okay, so the first thing we do is we set up a Remotion project. And now you can pick any folder to set up your project. Now we're going to be doing this in the 1920 by 1080 at 30 FPS. Now we're going to be breaking this into 6 beats. So it's going to start with a start button, then the app unfolds out of the button, and then the widget comes alive. And then you will see the light traverse around that widget. So when you're creating these 3D spaces in HTML, you need to remember that there's no camera. So essentially what's happening is the entire wrapper, which is the dashboard, along with all of your other widgets in that dashboard, are moving in 3D space to give you that imitation of camera movements essentially. And what we also did was we created all of the widgets inside the dashboard as like floating cards. So it has a 3D effect and it just looks overall really nice. So this will be broken down into 2 parts. So part 1 is going to be your dashboard. Now this is what we create in HTML. And for the glass card, we're going to start with a simple blur. Now if you see, I haven't put any blur over here and it just doesn't have any effect, but at the same time, if I put too much blur, you can hardly see anything underneath, right? So we need to find a sweet spot, and usually I like to go with around 12 pixel would be my sweet spot over here, 12 to 14 pixels. And then the next step is to make sure that we have an edge light line. So when you have the light effect move around the dashboard, you will see that there's a bit of an edge light. Now, if you do 0 pixels, obviously you have no edge light there, but at the same time, if you do too much, then it just looks like a white line. So we want to have a nice mid ground over here, maybe like 16%, 17%. Now that would be a nice sweet spot. Okay, and next we need to decide how transparent it's going to be. Now, if you see over here, there's a light source that is passing right behind the panel. Now, if we, for example, set the transparency too low, it doesn't really give you that glass effect. But at the same time, if you set the transparency too high, then it just becomes a solid object. So let's find a nice little middle ground over here, which is around like 50%. I think this would be good. And you can see it just like sort of dials down the transparency when we want that light to seep through. And then right after that, to make it look a bit more premium, we need to decide how sharp our edges are going to be, or the roundness of our edges. So this is what it looks like without any roundness. And this is what it looks like if you put too much, and that just looks a bit amateur. So we'll maybe settle for a bit in the middle, around 22 pixels. Okay, so that looks nice. And moving on from here, we can also give that glass widget a thickness as well. So this is what it looks like without a thickness and too much thickness, but then we'll go for something a little bit in the middle, and you can see that just gives a nice little subtle hint of thickness. It gives that 3D feel that it's actually there. Amazing. So now that we've done all of this, guys, we're going to put all of it together in a prompt. So you have the frost over here, which is the blur. So blur everything that passes behind the face by about 14 pixels. Shapes melt, light still travels, right? So, and then we have the face itself. So dark green black at 58% opacity, solid enough to read text on, so clear enough for light to pass through. And then we have that edge line, and then we have those corners as well, like 22 pixel corners on the cards and up to 34 pixels on the big panel. And then we have the thickness. So we have a darker slab about 20 pixels behind the face. Now that's what gives it that 3D effect, extending about 3 pixels. So once you put all of that into your Claude Code, that's what will give you your main app dashboard. Now next, let's play around with the light. We want to make sure that the light is neither too harsh nor too soft. So for example, this light over here is just, guys, it's just 2 ellipses mashed in together, right? So there's one ellipse which has a hot white core, and then there's another ellipse which is twice the size of it. And both of them are blended and they overlap. So the brightness feels like a real light. Now, this is what it looks like when it comes to fine-tuning the light. Now, as you can see over here, it's got this bright white core, but at the same time, if I soften it too much, then it's just completely gone. So we want like a nice middle ground again. So I'll maybe leave it around 27, 28 pixels. Now that looks like a nice natural light just going around. And you can see it goes behind our panel as well, and it's just lighting everything up very nicely. So right after this, you also want to decide how far reaching you want the light to be. Now, in the real world, when light passes through a material like glass, it leaves a bit of refraction at the very end. Now, that's what you see over here in that corner, right? It doesn't just like disappear out of nowhere, and then it subtly just blooms out from there. Now, if we set this too low, you can see that it doesn't have any sort of fading effect. But at the same time, if we set it too much, you can see it's just like rubber banded and it's just sticking over there, right? We don't want that either. So we select a nice little sweet spot somewhere around 235 pixels, and you can see it just has that nice refraction right as it's crossing that border. All right, so once we've decided how we want our light to look, we put all of it into another prompt. So the source is 2 stacked soft ellipses, a near white core blurred about 38 pixels over a dim wash at twice the size. So both of them are screen blended and they are slowly orbiting the panel. And then we have the edge ignition, which is it finds the closest point on the card's perimeter to the light and put one concentrated hotspot there. So that's the edge ignition that you see when the light is just about passing that corner. So, and then we have the color journey. Now the light itself is not a static green. So it starts off as green and then it turns to teal, violet, and so on and so forth. So that just gives it that nice little shifting light that's going around your panel. All right, so from here, guys, we also have how the light reacts to the content on the card itself. Now, this is that bar chart over here. Now, for example, if we decrease the reactivity, you can see that it doesn't really react with the letters or with the font. But at the same time, if you do it too much, you can see that it just blows the text out and it just looks really weird. So what we're going to do is we're just going to set a nice sweet spot over there, which is 55%. And you can see it just like subtly just raises the contrast of the text while not blowing it out at the same time. And this is what gives it that premium glass morphism look. And also you want to decide how much your data will animate. Now over here we have an ease out effect. So if I do it to the very end over here with no bounce, this is just like an ease out effect. So it just comes up and it decelerates and it stops. But at the same time, we can add a bit of a decaying wobble. And if we add too much of that, it just looks a bit cartoonish. So we just reduce that wobble just a little bit and it gives you that nice spring bounce at the very end. Now we have an overall progress, which is a lavender dome that fills from below the card's edge. So its arc is meeting the card's sides. And then we have a sales by day. We have basically we have a sales counter over here. And then we have a monthly revenue. And then finally we have a reactivity as well, like how much that light actually brightens up the content above it. All right, so once you're done with part 1, guys, you should have a remotion composition that looks like this. You can see all of that animate out of there. And you can see the light is just traversing along the edge. All right, amazing. That looks very nice. So once we've done that, the next step is to work on the sphere. Now that sphere acts as that cursor. And this is where I have to give you an honest note. Because the sphere can't be done in HTML or CSS, it's actually done using Three.js. Now essentially Three.js is a standard JavaScript library for real 3D graphics. Unlike HTML where everything is done using CSS and decorations, now Three.js talks to your GPU and it does what usually game engines and 3D software do. So you can do your geometry, your cameras, lights, and physically based materials. Now the reason that we're doing the sphere in Three.js is because you can get accurate light reflections, scatters, bends. Now all of those are very difficult to do in CSS. And essentially we have to do a two-pass. Now the first pass is where we render the HTML and CSS completely with the dashboard and all that. And then the second pass is where we render the sphere separately and then we bake both of them in. And that's what gives you that final video. So for that sphere, again, just for illustrative purposes, I'm using CSS over here. But the first thing that we need to figure out for the sphere is the refraction. Now, if you put it too less, like there's hardly any refraction over there, it just looks like a glass just moving over, a flat glass basically. But if you put too much refraction, you can see that everything is just totally magnified, right? So if you find a bit of a sweet spot, you see a bit of magnification come out, this is going to act as our base for the sphere. The next thing we need to put in is that rim fringe as well. Now the rim fringe is that fake edge or highlight. You know, there's a hint of cyan in there, and that's the detail that makes it look like a bubble instead of just a circle. Now on top of this, we need to add a bit of glaze. Now the glaze is just the reflection that you see on the corner of that circle. And then there's also a bit of highlight around the entire sphere that makes it look like an actual ball. And finally, when you render it, guys, and that's what that sphere looks like. Now, unfortunately, since this is made from Three.js, we can't have any sort of physical controls over it, and that's one of the reasons why it's just being rendered in post. But it just gives it a really nice look for your entire SaaS project. Amazing. Now on top of this, what we can do is we can add a bit of background music. So this is the prompt for creating that sphere. And these are the settings for the refraction. So we have a gentle magnification of around 1.35x. Then we have a color fringe around 2 to 3 pixels of red cyan split. And then we have that glaze as well. So if you look in the actual video, that glaze is constantly moving. It follows that light source that's going around the rim of the dashboard. And then we add a bit of choreography as well. So I just added a start button in the very beginning that gets pressed and then it just unfolds from there, showing you the dashboard. And you just saw how to build an entire SaaS animation with just a few prompts. But the hard part was understanding what each of those settings did to achieve that final look. And knowing these animating concepts is the difference between AI slop and client-ready work. So I've put the full breakdown and the prompts in my Skool community. The link is in the description. And if you like this video and you want to learn more about motion design for client work or for yourself, then do subscribe and hit that bell icon. Have a good day. I'll see you in the next one.